from the website. So you don't know anything about that, apart from what you heard this morning that was a mess. I support for you. We were talking about art and Greek, I think. Okay, just to have an idea. Who knows something about Maria Montessori's method? Or who knows Maria Montessori? Or heard about Maria Montessori? Heard about her? What did you know about her? More or less, in general. If I say Maria Montessori, what do you think about? Who is she? Or who was she?
She was a class.
Was it teacher?
Well, a new method in teaching kids, students, and she used material thing, so the students could learn more easily.
The first thing I want to say now, before I'm waiting for the colleagues to prepare their things, is about the material. Because there is a big mistake. Montessori method is not the material. Montessori method is an approach. The material is used only to train children, because now we are talking about children, because the material is only for children, to train children using that methodology. You know, this is a big mistake. I suppose that is a mistake that comes from those companies who sell materials, because cost a fortune without any reasons. It's just made with wood or something like that. So Montessori method is not material. Material is just something that you use for the application of the methodology. Okay? What is about this methodology? Who knows about that? Who wants to tell me?
Encourage self-autonomy, independence, students take initiative, encourage development of the child, both psychological, not only deal with education, but personal development, creative initiative.
Okay, that's correct. Someone else want to add something more about the Montessori methodology? If I say Montessori, what do you think? A woman, a maternal woman, a scientist, a teacher, what do you think?
Teacher and a doctor.
Who is?
Teacher and a doctor, I suppose.
Yeah, she was a doctor. She was a teacher. She was a doctor more than a teacher. She had degrees in medicine. Maria Montessori wasn't maternal at all. She studied children not from the maternal point of view. Then, if you are ready, I can start. Okay?
Whatever. Now we will do an icebreaker, which will have as an objective to for you to reflect on what you want from your training and what you already know, what you have experienced, etc. There are about 30 people here, and we need 6 groups. This room is not comfortable for that, so that is why I will ask people who are in front to just turn and be one group as this, you know, just turn. So 2 groups. Group number 2 here. Can I have please one person there? So you together. Sorry. 3. I will. 4. Number 4. Group number 5. All right. So I would like you to introduce yourself.
We can discuss it. Montessori and the children and the child. This is because in advance I was asking you, what do you think about her? You think she was maternal? No, she wasn't at all. She studied children in a very scientific way. She was a doctor, and she had a big trouble to be a doctor because she was the first woman in Italy to enroll in the medicine faculty at the Università La Sapienza in Rome. And she wasn't accepted at all, but she was so strong. They tried to put out her away from the faculty because they thought it was not a subject for a woman. Absolutely not. not in that age, but she was so strong that she continued with very good marks, with very good results, and she was the first one who was a doctor in Italy. This is just for you to understand what kind of woman she was. She was born in 1870 and she died in 1952 in Holland. And she has been described as an educator, and a scientist, a physician, and philosopher, philanthropist, and a feminist, and a humanitarian. She was a feminist. Oh, sorry for men, but you are in minority now. She was one of the most important feminists in Europe, but the real feminists, not the ones who refused to wear a bra, but the real ones who wanted to have a kind of equality between a man and a woman. And she was the first early childhood educator to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Really, till that age, remember that we are at the end of the 19th century, okay? Remember that time, because now everything seems normal, because now we are in 2014, but in that age, nobody studied the education of children, of young children. They didn't mind at all. The education was open only to wealthy children, and not to the other. She started working with what they called in that time ideals children. Now ideals sounds bad, really rude, but at that time they were called ideals. Children that were not actually ideals, perhaps they were only poor and they had a poor background. And she started working in a hospital with that children, studying how they work. She started for the very first time watching children how they collect small pieces of bread after the meal. They watched that all the time, all children after the meal went to collect all pieces of bread and to put together in the same way the idea of order that the expert this morning told you. I don't know if you remember that. She started, that was something that illuminated her, you know? The Dottoressa Montessori felt strongly that a radical reform of education was essential if there was to be any hope for peace in our time. Coming back to Mussolini, this morning you watched the video, Laura has shown you the video with Mussolini. At the beginning, Mussolini supported her because he, in some way, he thought that education was important also for poor children. But why? The aim was different between Maria Montessori and Mussolini, because Mussolini needed soldiers. And if you have a soldier educated in some way, it's much better than have soldiers that are able to do almost anything. And also, as Maria Montessori was quite famous outside Italy, he thought that this can be a good way for clean up to shine the view of Italy abroad. But, and so he supported Maria Montessori schools in Rome, also in Città di Castello, that is my hometown. But when Mussolini forced Maria Montessori to put as a director one of the party of the fascism party, she refused absolutely to have such kind of person. She refused to be involved in politics, and he cut all money for those schools, and she had to move outside Italy, abroad, because she had no more support, no more money. Because she believed on peace, but in that time this was very far from the reality. Maria Montessori is considered the basis of modern pedagogy. Even though before elaborating her methodology, she studied the two physicians like Ita and Seguin. I don't know if you have heard about them, but of course we can go deeper. She developed an environment for the scientific study of children with physical and mental disability, as I told you before. She started with people that had physical disability and supposed mental disability. Most of them were not mental disability. In that time, even if you were dyslexic, they thought you were ideal, you know? After success in treating these children, she began to study the application of her technique to education of children without intellectual or developmental disabilities. So normal children, only poor children. She had many troubles with that because many families in that age needed to have children to work, not to go to school and learn, and families couldn't understand. This is strange because she had much troubles in Rome than in Città di Castello, because she started to set up schools, primary schools in Città di Castello in the countryside. But families were quite happy to their children to be educated. But in Rome she had very, very good troubles. Maria Montessori didn't want to go on with her methodology. This is something you can't find in Wikipedia. It's a secret between us. You know, I'm quite old and I have met someone who has been trained by Maria Montessori herself. She didn't want to go on with her methodology because she developed her methodology with our baroness, local baroness, Alice Franchetti. She was half Dutch and half American. When she moved, she married with our local baron, Franchetti. When she moved to Città di Castello, she was scandalized by the life condition of families in the countryside. So she was a very good woman, very, very passionate, and she started to have women and giving them a kind of work. I'm not going on because it takes hours. I'm very talkative, and with children. She met Maria Montessori in Le Marche, that is a region where she was born, that is just close to our region. And they had the same idea, and they started to elaborate the method together. And the first book that now is signed by Maria Montessori, Il metodo della pedagogia scientifica, that has been printed in Città di Castello in 1909, has been written by both ladies, Maria Montessori and Alice Franchetti. But Alice Franchetti married a Jewish man, and fascists forced her to cancel the name of Alice Franchetti because it would have been a big trouble. But she wasn't sure about that, and was Barone Franchetti who paid for all expenses and costs for printing her first book. As I told you, she started working with ideals, children, with normal children, and then in 1906 she was good enough with children that they offered a daycare to have a daycare center in Rome. For her it was a good opportunity to watch all children. I know that you say, why are you talking about children, like someone this morning told during the talk. That is true, but you can't face a methodology because our methodology is based on the approach, only on the approach and on teachers' attitude and behavior. You can't do that if you don't understand where this methodology comes. I have studied a lot Maria Montessori's methodology. I have read all her books. I participated to many conferences just to understand who was her and what was her soul. Not a maternal woman, absolutely not. Laura this morning told you, I don't care about students, not in the maternal point of view. I want them to learn. That is what I want. So this is my aim, and that was the aim of Maria Montessori. No caress. but a scientific approach. And she was that. She was a scientist. So she developed during this, when she had the daycare in Rome, she developed the sensor material. What the expert this morning told you about, if I'm not wrong, she said something like that. Initially, she worked with the preschool children, that is from 3 to 6. After observing development, this word is a nightmare to me, changes, read it, in children. Just commencing elementary school, I mean, she, as you know, this morning you have seen 4 ages, you know, and she noticed that children in preschool are completely different how they approach when they are 6, completely different. When they are 2, they really need to have everything in the right place. They're in order, absolutely. It's for them compulsory. If you don't allow your children, 2 years old children, to have order, they can have some behavior, problem in behavior. But after that, they change again. And just commencing elementary school and recognize that young children's thought or cognitive processes are inherently different from those of adults, absolutely. I have been working as a teacher for 20 years and more. We pass from the, you are all young, but we pass from the grammar, and then no grammar is just not good, and then only speaking, oh no, that's not good. We pass through many methodologies, you know. And in all those methodologies, there is also that one, adults learn like a child, you know. That's not true. It's different, because adults, and you will see tomorrow, adults have many blocks, many stresses in learning. They have a background, a strong background, that is educational background, character, what happened, not in the education, but what happened in their life. The work, you know, also they work with group. This morning someone asked me, what about the levels? Do you teach different levels? No, we don't. Even though the Montessori method itself says children of different ages can, it's good, they work because they can collaborate. With others, you must be careful, a lot. Because there are some dynamic between others that you have to look after a lot. Even though there is a person who has a low level of language, but this person is higher in education or in social level with someone who has higher level in language, and this person would never accept to be helped by this other one. That's it. These are others. So, Montessori and Maria Montessori and her son Mario began a new course of research to adapt her approach to elementary school children. What is Montessori all about? Development a diet plan, planes, let's read by yourself. Each stage, I have this problem, I know. Needing to fulfill specific goal and objectives, the 4 periods you have seen this morning. Global or cosmic view of humanity. What does it mean? That you can't teach geography if you don't teach history. Or, you know, all subjects are completely related to each other. And in language, this is absolutely true. I always say, our students, when they come to us asking for information, when they ask, okay, how much is the didactical material? Nothing. Do you offer it? No. We do not choose any didactical material. Why? They are a bit surprised because we don't treat the language as a subject. Language is a communication. It's not a subject. It's something that you can use for something else. And this is the cosmic idea of Maria Montessori. You can use language, for example, with young adults, that is about 14, 15. We use foreign language, that can be French or English or whatever, or Italian. We use the language for studying or for preparing a research on animals, on bees, what we did a few months ago. The connection with something else. Adults must understand that the language is something that they have to use for something. This morning, the lady said about the movie of that child that was found in the forest. He was 7 and couldn't speak. Because he didn't need to speak. That's it. Language is not a subject. It's just a communication that you can use for something. You must use it for something else. If you see that you can use it for something else, it's much easier learning a new language. This is the cosmic idea. The child is a highly respected and valued member of the world society. Now a bit too much, in my opinion. This is again the idea of freedom, a bit too much. The freedom of children now is too much. It has given without any limits, and now in Italy, I don't know what about in Romania, but in Italy we have not a good mannered children, not at all, because they believe they can do what they want without any respect of nobody. Individualized, meeting the needs of each child. Multi-age grouping, what we discussed before, but we are talking about children. Promoting peer teaching and learning. This works perfectly with the children, not with the adults. Not at the beginning, because you haven't read the manual, but in the manual there is written, pay attention, this approach, this methodology must be followed in graduality. Because you are in danger that your students think you are not a professional, that you don't want to teach them, or that they are not learning. You know, this is the graduality. Emphasis on group cohesion and cooperation. Again, pay attention on the group dynamics. Materials scientifically based, self-correcting, and sequentially matched with the child. Scientific observation in a prepared environment. Okay? Questions so far? Questions so far? Okay, can go on. Who's after me? Alina. Okay.
Yes.
If I'm too talkative, you stop me. I will free
You
that.
stop now.
Okay. Do we have enough time? Okay. How does it happen? It happens with the self-directed learning. A child chooses what he wants or she wants to learn in that time, in that moment. Teachers being as observer of the child instead of the lecturer. The teacher, this also with the others, observe how the given material has been used or is used. The sensitive period of development are understood and used in facilitation of the child's growth, during which a child's mind is particularly open to learn specific skills. This is absolutely scientifically proved. You know that a child is better to learn something in some period than something else, and you have to follow this. Children learn through discovery, so didactic materials with the control of error are used. They only discover. You go outside and you show the children leaves and trees and something like that. This also happens because it is understood that the hand is intimately connected to developing brains in children. They learn by doing. Also learn by doing with others should be taken in a bit different way. side effect of the Montessori education. There are, of course, benefits that are documented, those benefits, in many studies all over the world. But the most profound and long-lasting benefits are in the children's mental and spiritual health. It's not a case, it's not just by chance that many are modern intelligent people. Zuckerberg, the one who founded the Apple computer, now just something that comes in my mind. They attended Steve Jobs, yes.
Barack
Obama, they attended.
The owner of Google.
Yeah, exactly. They attended Montessori schools. Because Montessorian pupils.
George Clooney. Now he's married. He's married, he's no more.
He developed
not the but anymore, but he rejects it. It is better because he's married.
Then no female VIP.
Yes, there are females are not kept in
Hillary Clinton. For you.
Why not? She's a good looking woman.
I'm married.
She's just to watch.
No, this is.
No way. Oh, no. Romanian men are much better than Italian men.
The other slide, the previous one.
Why they are so good? Those people are so good because they develop a critical mind. This is the basis of Montessori method to develop a critical mind. You know what I mean? I don't need to say something more. May I go on?
Yes.
So the result is a deep respect for themselves, their classmates, the community within the school and outside the school, and the profound love and the respect for our earth. This is really true. Believe me, it's really true. If you haven't seen, I invite you to visit Montessori school, a real Montessori school, because Montessori is something that is a marketing, but I invite you to do that. And those children have the knowledge that all things are connected and all things must be respected. Some other side effects may include ongoing joy on learning, self-control, the will, and at least concentration. Okay? Questions so far? Good. Measurement of achievement. The Montessori method discourages the traditional measurement of achievement, such as grades and the tests. This morning someone asked me, what about do you release a certificate or something about that? Yes, of course, we submit exams at the end of our courses because we are an official school and we have to release certificates. But we use the exams as part of the training for them to understand what they should understand. Feedback and qualitative analysis of a child's performance doesn't exist, but it's usually provided in the form of a list of skills, activities, and critical points, and sometimes a narrative of a child's achievements, not Paul Smith, English, a grade, math, a grade, not that. It's kind of narration, it's kind of story underlining the strength parts. A key point to understand Montessori education is the recognition that what is important is not so much the product, but the process by which the product is attained. Because the process is already something that you have learned. The 3-period lesson. Tell me, I put this one because someone says that it is from Maria Montessori, but it's not true. It's a Chinese program. Then I forget, so I understand, it bored me, I remember. It's from China, it's not from Maria Montessori. Period 1 consists on providing the child with the name of the material. So I give child I have a 2-year-old grandson. You know, when you are a mom, you have no time to train your children. That's it. But now, with my grandson, one boy, I have done with him many proofs since he was 1 month. 1 month. My daughter said, okay, Mom, she knows me, and she says, okay, Mom, do it, go on. I've been really, I'm surprised day by day. I'm really surprised. She started walking when she was 7 months and a half, going around, doing things by himself. He started eating by himself when he had 14 months. He can do almost everything by himself. He told me he can go now, he's not 2, he's turning 2 next month. He can go up and down the stairs by himself. He's always available for helping the other children in the kindergarten. Of course he's a child and he is something. Of course, because he tried to have his space, that is all the world. He wants to have all the freedom in the world. He must just understand the limits of his freedom. But believe me, it's really, if you are going to have a new one, I will invite you to try, and you will see how much it works. It's really fantastic. So such as this is, you give a toy and you say this is a rabbit. Period 2 is to help the child recognize the different object. Give me the rabbit. Period 3 involves checking to see if the child not only recognizes the name of the material, but is able to tell you what is it. What is it? It's a rabbit. Dottoressa Maria Montessori was very clear to point out that if the child does not go through the 3rd period, the teacher must simply try some other material and use more time, because pace is different from each of us. It doesn't mean that someone is more intelligent than someone else. It doesn't mean that my beloved grandson is more intelligent than another child. Absolutely not. He's only prepared to do that. No undue pressure from the teacher to learn the lesson. Communication between teacher, child, and home is unbearable. This was the big problem for Maria Montessori, because family didn't want to see her again. Montessori means Montessori is only for well-behaved children. Now, yes, it is. Unfortunately, I don't know what about here in Romania, but more or less all over the world, the Montessori schools are only not well-behaved, but only for wealthy children. Unfortunately, even though it was born, it was studied for poor children. Also in Romania too, because the courses are very big. Montessori is too structured. Even though someone told us Montessori gives too much freedom, so, you know, it's something that it is not true, or yes, it is a structure, it's not free. It's not freedom without any rules, absolutely not. Also for adults, it's very structured. Laura this morning tried to explain you that she has always in her mind what she wants to do, where she wants to arrive, and how to do that. But inside that schemes, they are able to do what they want, to reach in the way they prefer, and that is much better for each student. The environment is for children. The shelves are set out in areas with activities set out on the shelves in a particular way. If you go to a Montessori school, you will see that all shelves are with materials that are put in a very scientific way. It's not in a confusion way, absolutely not. From easier to present with the lesson, okay? The control of error in the materials, that you know now what we need. This is just to minimize the teacher's role. They should know that they are wrong. If they want a 1-year-old child want to put a rounded form in a square hole, he knows that he can't. He tried, but he can't. Without intervention not required by the teacher. The teacher intervenes only when required. Observation, how the material is used. What happens when all of this structure is put together in an environment where it is possible to give the children the freedom to interact in it as they wish, and usually they wish to interact in a positive manner, engaging and exploring with the Montessori material. Excited to share their discovery. If you go to a Montessori school or kindergarten, or even from 0 to 3 years old, you see them. It's kind of a paradise. You see them quietly. They help each other. They are really very, it's a kind of paradise. I invite you to do that because I can't say everything, but you say, just go there and have a look at what I mean. Montessori method versus traditional education. Montessori emphasis on cognitive structure and social development. Traditional emphasis on rote knowledge and social development. Nothing to say. If you see something that this is not a Bible, okay? Is something that we have produced from our point of view. So please, if you think something is wrong, or you want to add something more, or you want to note something more, that would be great for us, because we want to learn and to know more, to understand others' point of view. Okay, please. When the teacher guides the learning process, the student is an active and primary participant. Teacher's role is dominant, and the student is a passive participant. Do that and shut up. Environment and method encourage internal self-discipline. Teacher is primary and purpose for external discipline. A teacher always needs to discipline students, always. Individual and group instruction adapted to each student's learning style. Group instruction conform to others' teaching style. It's the teacher who decides what is the group activity. Mixed age grouping, same age grouping. First primary, second primary, third primary, Montessori school, you don't find this. Or if they are Montessori schools. Children encouraged to teach, collaborate, and help one another. Most teaching done by teacher and collaboration is discouraged. This is really true. This is really true. I don't know if you are a mother, or I don't know if you have a child, or in some way, I'm sure that you have noticed that. Child formulates concepts from self-teaching material. Child is given concepts by teacher rather than self-discovery. The teacher says the knowledge, and the child has to apply what the teacher said. Concentrated work time on a single subject, only one, in Montessori school. Child is given specific time for work in one subject, then moved on to another subject, perhaps before subject has been adequately covered. Child sets own learning pace to internalize information. Instruction pace is set by group norm or teacher. Child spots own errors through self-correction material. Error corrected by the teacher. Learning is reinforced through child's own repetition of activity, internal feelings, and successful repetition. Learning reinforced externally by reward and punishment, unfortunately. Multisensory materials. Few materials for sensory, of course, now maybe much more than in the past. Concrete manipulation. Child can work where he or she is comfortable, is allowed to move around the classroom as long as he or she is not disruptive to others, of course, because again, freedom finishes when others' freedom stops. This is one of the basis of Montessori. Now, again, sorry for saying that, I don't know what about the children here in Romania, but in Italy and in many other countries, children are really unbearable. I mean, I can't stand some children, I can't stand parents, honestly, more than children, honestly, because they are really, they think they can do everything. Everything is allowed to them. Children sit in assigned seats, not allowed to move around. So sorry, it's a mistake. Like this. So thank you for your attention. Sorry for boring you, but this is compulsory. You have to. Okay, thank you.